Well, now moving forward to my absolute second favorite of the collection. First favorite 5150, but the Rockman stuff, which I'm extremely excited about. I think it's absolutely awesome and pretty much nailed, in my opinion, which is the Boston 100, which is based off the Tom Schultz Rockman. And then we have the cab simulator. So if you want to talk about what you used it for, why it's in this collection, and now the model and reproduction of it within AmpliTube.
Yeah, so, boy, what a crazy idea for me to show up at my earliest recording sessions with John Kunneberger with this Rockman, and he was like, shaking his head like, what are we going to do with that? That's not a real thing. But I need just like 1 minute to explain the fact that since late 79 and through part of 85, I had been playing through 2 stereo 100-watt Marshall half stacks. And I just, to death. I mean, I did a million club dates with the band The Squares. I made a lot of recordings with John Kunneberger as the engineer. And so we had this long history of turning up with real amps and playing legitimate gear, you know what I mean, with real microphones and real studio outboard gear. And so when I went to do the solo stuff, I showed up with this chip on my shoulder, like, you know what? It's like I'm done using like all this heavy gear. And I want to start with a bunch of tools that are just going to force me to be a bit more creative and more clever, and it's going to instantly set everything apart. And he was really up for the challenge. So one of the things, first I should say, we did have a 4x12 slant. We did have, I think it was actually that head, the 71 Squares head over there, which is a whole other story in itself. The super lead, and later on a JC120. And so we had a couple of things, and there was always a small Fender amp in the studio that we would use for something. But the Rockman, to me, when I would explain it to John, like what it did creatively to the guitarist, I said, it's not like spending all day playing the same song until you think you get the right sound out of the cabinets. And then I have to play this, then I have to turn all my stuff, all my juice on and be amazing. I said, this thing comes with something very unique, and I'm ready to go right away. And so his thing, though, was how are we going to get it to sound big enough? Because it's made for the headphones, right? Those cheesy little, 80s headphones. So his idea was, well, let's hear what it is that you like about it. And then let's see if we can get rid of all the sputs, all the echo in the chorus, and we'll recreate that with really high-end outboard gear. But let's get the essence of that, of what the input and the output is. Let's take the output, put it into a vintage Neve mic preamp, and use the shortest cable possible to go right to tape. Bypass the console, and that's what we did. And what we captured was, I thought, the real heart and soul of the Rockman before it ever went to that the little headphone output. And so this was really important for me in getting this in the collection, so that, because I haven't had that. I mean, I sent you guys my original Rockman for making those records. I said, if you guys can get this thing to turn on and work, and you can model it, then that would be great, because then I can finally have it. And man, what a feeling to dial that up and to hear it and go like, wow, now the Rockman is available as a plugin. It's just insane. It's a beautiful model.
Yeah, now it lives. And
it lives.
And I remember going back and forth with the developmental team on this, and I remember and you made a great point on this. And so one of my memories, and it's very small from this, is there was a guitar placed in the room, if you remember, and I sent you over a screenshot, and you're like, that guitar cover doesn't come with those pickups. I'm like, out of all things, which was awesome, paying attention to detail. But that's my memory of Rockman on this, which I thought was funny, and people should know that. And I remember shaking my head. I'm like, man, he picked that out. But, once you go down the rabbit hole with me, good luck. But no, I think that the team did a great job, and from what I'm seeing, that is, people are excited about that, to get that and to have that available digitally, which I think is really exciting, especially as
yeah, it's a great sound. I used to have this discussion years ago about, when people would rate gear, and it's a funny thing, because like if you have some gear, very expensive, very inexpensive, next to each other, of course, as you're talking about it, someone says, well, this is actually better. It has a better this, a better that, the ins and outs and everything. And so there's this sort of natural inclination to downplay the use of the gear that's inexpensive or budget oriented, and to always go for the expensive stuff. And that's really wrong when it comes to creative. And so I realized this, that very often I would butt heads with engineers about this kind of stuff. And I'd say, what if you heard a record, by Beck, and somebody said to you, oh man, these are like the killer samples that were used by this loop master and this DJ, and they put it together. You listen to it with a whole different attitude. You're saying, this is cool. These guys have taste. They've somehow figured out how to get these beautiful sounds. But when you're presented with the box itself, before creative people get a hold of it, you tend to look down on it. And that really, that's what led me to using the Boss pedals, the small amps, the Rockman, in conjunction with standard setups like the Marshall half stacks that I brought to the studio as well, because I didn't think that way at all. I thought this stuff is actually golden. Doesn't matter what it originally cost when it was sitting on the shelf at Guitar Center or something. This stuff is amazing, because when a guitar player plugs in and they hear that sound, and they feel, they get that tactile response back from this Rockman plugin, they're going to play something different, something unique. It's going to pull something very creative out of them. To me, that's everything, because guitars, they all got 6 strings. You can get amps, they have knobs, you turn them on, they make noise, There's a lot of what we use is the same. So all those little things that make them unique, regardless of if they're inexpensive or expensive, they really are the things that we need as creative artists. We need to have these tools at our fingertips, and that's what's so cool about having this. I mean, you can switch from JVM to Rockman and the 5150 in a second. That's crazy.